So this is getting to be repetitive. Seems like the beginnings of all of my recordings start out with me backing out of my work parking place, which is somewhat fitting because I spend a lot of time while I'm at work thinking about, work, but my other endeavors, and usually can't wait to get to the car to be able to set the camera up and turn it on and record something to document what I'm doing, communicate my feelings, express myself. And today is no different. Yesterday was I hesitate to say amazing, but I think that's really an adequate term. Amazing. Sometimes words just don't describe what you're trying to express, and I'm going to go ahead and stick with that. It was a fantastic, life-changing day for me. Again, I'm always striving to hit something that may change the course of my life forever in a single day, and I try to find that every the same time, simultaneously or in sequence, but it's the best way that I can bring that out vocally right now. So this is going to be a little bit more difficult as I navigate into this neighborhood and try to remember where I'm going. But I was so excited this morning about this, especially when I was leaving the office, that I pulled the camera out and I said, no, I'm going to this meeting at a property to meet a new management potential, and I want my mind to be on that when I get there, and I will record afterwards. But the excitement was so intense that I wanted to capture it and hopefully get the essence of it in its most pure and highest form. And I was worried that spending an hour or so discussing property management with an individual would dampen that, I guess. So there's no way, because I'm almost there, that I'm going to be able to finish all this by the time I get there, although I have a few minutes earlier than I thought it would be, so it's not out of the question to go off the side of the road here in one of these neighborhoods before I get there and finish that. But I've already been somewhat led astray, so my train of thought is slightly distracted. Street name I'm looking for, but I might have to pull over and do some Google mapping to sort this out. But anyway, so my belief about myself is that because of the and I call them memories, I have the ability to connect to certain emotions, certain feelings, certain circumstances that I have no memory of, that I have not experienced, at least not in this lifetime. And my explanation for that was that I have experienced them in other lifetimes. And it is so intense and so detailed that my only explanation for all that up until now has been that I've been in so many circumstances from the beginning of human existence through maybe the end of human existence. Again, it's all theory and not a lot of I'm not going to really elaborate on that at this point. But that was the basic understanding that I had of that, and that was because there's just not a lot of other options out there to explain it. Let's find a spot here. I'm going to pull into this neighborhood really quick. I've got about 5 minutes before I have to be, and I told them I would be right around 10-ish. That's even more distracting. Okay, so I need to pull myself together because I am officially working and I do need to continue my scheduled work agenda. So one quick look at Google Maps to site where I am actually at, which is right on target, right where it's supposed to be. And it looks like, since my glasses are for my nearsightedness to help me see distances, I have to take them off to be able to see the map. So it looks like I came in, I'm sitting right there. I'm only a few blocks from my final destination. So perfect. I can take a few minutes to wrap this up. So so I have that system developed in my mind, and it's really based on the basics, fundamentals of, well, there's no basic fundamentals. Anyway, the bottom line is I had a certain view of things, and I took that test, and it came back with a response, and it came back and said Soul Star, and I was like, interesting title. That drew me in. And then I read the first line, and it said, you are a new soul and have never experienced another life. And my first reaction was anger and frustration, because it just, in one sentence, attacked my whole belief system. And I was like, this is bullshit. Fucking, why did I even do this? And I mean, that's how I react. I'm a vulgar, offensive individual. I am quick to anger, and I'm extremely judgmental. So that's exactly what my reaction was. And I was like, I need to read what the rest of this fucking gibberish is, and so I can truly be angry. And I started to read through it, and I was blown away, because it presented a possibility that I had never considered. And I still was extremely doubtful, but no longer angry. And then I was slightly feeling guilty and angry at myself because of how I reacted, because I did not allow myself to open up to the possibility of something that I hadn't considered. And it's part of growing. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I can factor this in. The biggest benefit from my belief system is the ability to incorporate everything, the ability to incorporate every point of view, every perspective out there in one system. And for a while I have forgotten that. And this was something that I hadn't been exposed to, as a perspective and a perception that I had not put myself in the ability to see. And I was like, I can factor this in. So the more I thought about it, the more it fit in, the more it made sense, the more it added detail, and again, I'm losing my ability to verbalize, but and my phone is extremely distracting right now, and I'll explain that in just a second, and why I'm so scattered right now. So, okay, again, refocus. So I was extremely excited about that something new had come into my life that I thought would help, and based on where I was going, and what I have determined is my position in life right now, and the path I am now taking, it was perfect. It fit into line. My immediate response to all that was to Google the background behind this test, which I came across the book, and then I came across the author, and then I looked at the author's page, and I looked at the book's web page, and then I looked at her Facebook web page. Yes, it's cyber stalking to an extent, but it's not. It's me evaluating the situation, and investigating the possibilities, and trying to get all the information that I can get to understand. And the more I looked into it, the more intrigued I was, the more excited I got, and the more drawn into it I felt. And I was like, I have to have this book. I have to read this book, because I have to get some of the details. There's already been, again, the idea, which I kind of brought up last week, of presenting a painting or a picture. I've already seen the broad strokes from this person's perspective. I need to see some of the details. So I set out on Sunday to get the book, and went to the bookstore to get it, and was not able to purchase it. I ended up buying it and getting it on Kindle. I'm speaking faster now because it's 10 o'clock right on the dot, and I need to get over to this property. But I could not wait. The more I thought about it, the more anxious I got, the more I was like a child on Christmas. I wanted it now. I wanted to see this. So I got it on the Kindle. I started looking at it on Sunday night. we'll get into my reading habits when another time. But so I started reading it, and I got through the first couple of pages, but didn't really have time to commit to it on Sunday. But got into Monday, and the more I thought about it, the more I incorporated those ideas into my own personal belief structure. The more it made sense, the more excited I got, the more I saw an opportunity to take a step into the light. And I decided I would write the author. And I decided that sometime beginning of the week, midweek, I don't remember, but I was finding the concentration and the focus to be able to sit down and write. It was very difficult for me. So yesterday I did it. I got to work. I worked on some things. Fortunately, it's been extremely slow in the office, so I've had a lot of free time, which is usually a really hard thing to deal with at this time of year, because you've got so much time on your hand while you're sitting at work and nothing to do that you're really struggling to find something to keep yourself occupied, so you're not counting down the minutes or the hours. And again, back on topic, I sat down yesterday and I wrote the letter, and it took me nearly 6 hours of working on it, because that's how I process, that's how I write. It's write, rewrite, look at it again. I've talked about it over and over again, but the whole process, but the day went in a flash. I don't even remember the day. My focus, my concentration was so deeply involved in the words that I was choosing for that letter and what I was trying to convey without conveying too much. Again, it's just my very cautious approach to everything that I do, and the day was over in a flash. And at the end of the day, I was like, that's what life is about. That is being involved in something, living in the moment, being so focused on it at that time. That time is clock time, which I struggle with. I do. It's one of the biggest things that I have an issue with right now. Was gone. It was non-existent. There was no such thing as clock time. It just was me being, and the letter was the result of me in that moment. It became a symbol of something. But I had no idea whether I was going to send it. And I finished it off before we got done yesterday. I saved it, and then I ended up posting it on my blog because of what it took to create it for me, and the way it ended up happening, and what it meant to me, and the whole experience of yesterday needed to be saved. So I posted it on Allison's Theories, the blog, and within the last couple of days, I've had some inspirations just to write, boom, 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 and that's what I like. I've just had some quick ideas, boom, this means this means this, and I'm trying to put them out there chronologically, so that looking back at this, I can see the steps I took, and so can other people see the steps that I took, the emotions and what was involved in it. Went through all that. We had a dinner last night for the school, for Morgan's senior class, and we went to that, and in the back of my mind, all I was thinking was about the letter. And then we got home, and all I was thinking about the book. And I sat down and I read some more of the book. I'm only 60 pages into it. Completely drawn into it, though. Fascinated. Absolutely, to this point, love it. I mean, it's right in my wheelhouse. It's what I enjoy reading. I like the style. I like the words. I like everything. So it's been fantastic. So got to the office this morning, reread the letter, decided maybe I would post it, couldn't decide, went back and forth a little bit, and then attached it and sent it, and have been shaky and jittery ever since, because it was only a half an hour ago that I did that, which is I was leaving the office and walking out to come here just before I was making this recording, which is why I was so excited to turn the camera on, because I just did something that could have an impact on my life that is unprecedented, and that's huge. And right before I left, I typed, because I heard this or read this several places in my life about following paths, and that is, some doors once open can never be closed. And I posted that on the blog because that is exactly how I felt, that I was opening a Pandora's box, possibly, I don't know, but it was done. It was sent, and it was out there, and there was no turning back, and I basically opened that door, and now I have to see what's going to happen. And the reason I keep looking at my phone when I'm so distracted is because I sent it to the author less than a half an hour ago, and now I have a friend request on Facebook from that author, and I have no idea where this is going to go, but it's huge because I enjoy feeling like this. This is what, for me, life is all about. This moment, this experience I have going right now, and what's really hard is the fact that I have to go talk to somebody about property management right now, because that is the farthest thing from my mind right now, and I don't feel like I'm going to be able to give it my full attention because my mind is all over the place. But that's my life. That's where I am right now, and I'm going to do it because that's the decision I've made to do. So I will probably be back on later.